pama baga gaga mare tere ga sadla gid man pape padama baga mare ma ga tere ga tere ga sadla gid man.
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम टेपिया की बहुत ही स्पेशल एपिसोड में आप सबको बहुत बहुत वेलकम. टुडे आई हैव गॉट द आयरिश commentator Andrew Leonard with me. Andrew has played under 19 cricket for Ireland and he has been commentating for a very long time on cricket, especially the pathway and associate cricket, and his work for the ICC as well. Thank you for being on the show, Andrew.
Assalamu alaikum, great to be with you, Sam. How are you doing?
I'm good. We are halfway through the qualifiers, and it's been like a little surprising as we were talking before the interview that the table does not look as it might have been before the tournament, as a lot of experts might have predicted it. So are you surprised with the performances that have been on show so far in the qualifiers?
Yeah, look, firstly, it's been a great tournament. It really has. There's been so much good cricket, and the quality in these qualification events, pressure comes in to play a huge amount, yes. And the kind of pressure factor brings a lot of drama, and we've seen a lot of drama. We really have. And the other thing that's brought a bit of drama has been the extreme conditions. Yes. It's been quite hot and humid, particularly for the day games. Yes. The day-night games have kind of brought some welcome relief for us as the broadcast team and the players. No doubt they're doing much harder work than we are. I kind of made one prediction at the start. I didn't want to predict who would qualify, but I thought that nobody would win all 5 games and nobody would lose all 5 games. I might be proven wrong the way it's playing out now. And I think the table might kind of slightly flatter both Pakistan and Bangladesh, who have played some really good cricket, but, you know, particularly their games against Ireland, plenty of passages of the game between Pakistan and the West Indies favoured the West Indies. And it's right now a really dominant position that the two sides from the Asian subcontinent have. And maybe if you'd kind of looked at things coming in, their knowledge of the local conditions better than a West Indies and Ireland or Scotland or a Thailand, who are so new to ODI cricket still, would maybe have veered you that way. It's going to take something remarkable for both of those sides not to qualify now. In fact, you think it's incredibly likely. Yes. But I think Thailand are due a really good performance, hopefully tomorrow against Pakistan. Pakistan should not underestimate them by any stretch. They know that from the T20 format before. Yes. And then, Bangladesh are probably, of the 6 sides, been the most impressive of the tournament. Yes.
And you said that Bangladesh have been the most impressive side. So let's talk a little about Bangladesh. That before the qualifiers, their ODI form wasn't that great. They had lost a series to West Indies. They had lost some ODIs to Ireland as well. So coming into the tournament, the way they have played, especially the captain, like I was looking at her strike rate, she's batted at a striker of 114, average of more than 100. And to do that in the women's game, like, it's very special. So do you think, like, what's been a surprising factor that Bangladesh have been so good in these qualifiers?
Well, I described them on air as a completely new team, the Tigresses 2.0, for want of a better catchphrase. They have played incredible cricket, and completely, with respect to their previous abilities, completely different brand of cricket. Yes. I think before this tournament, they passed 250 twice in their history. They passed 250 twice in 3 games, both with record totals. They achieved their record chase against Ireland. They never chased more than 211. They made 235. It was 236 to win, and actually made 240 with Ritu Moni finishing off with that MS Dhoni-esque 6. Amazing way to finish a game. A game they had no right to win. Yes. They needed 97 off 90 balls with 6 wickets. With 6 wickets down, 4 in hand. Even when they were 8 down, they were in all sorts of bother, needing 8 and over. And you look at the numbers of their numbers 8 through 11 batters, they really aren't particularly impressive. Not much pedigree there, but I think without the form of their skipper, it wouldn't have been possible. She's led impeccably well. She's a very impressive human. She really is. I really like Nigar Sultana Jati. She's also completely transformed her game. I think career strike rate before this tournament was in the 50s, 52, 54.
Yes.
Look, I think a lot of that's got to go down to the support staff. David Hempson there is the batting coach for this tour. Very experienced cricketer, former international with Bermuda and county cricket with Glamorgan. I think he's tried to get them playing a much more aggressive brand of cricket, and it's paid off in spades. But equally, they're not by any means unbeatable. Scotland's record partnership against them yesterday under the floodlights was incredible. They got sort of that contagious fever that's been going around the camps, which is dropping the catches. They put down 5 under the floodlights. Ireland have put down 13 in 3 games. But Bangladesh have been outstanding. I think they could not just go to a second Women's World Cup, they should. I think they could well get to a semi-final, given that it'll be played in India in those conditions
Yes.
that they'll like.
Yes, absolutely. And talking about the conditions, that it's been Asian conditions which more usually suit to spin bowling. So what do you think that because these conditions suit spin bowling, so Ireland and Scotland perhaps are not that good in the spin bowling department? So that has been one of the factors that perhaps the incisiveness that you need to win games, that has been lacking, do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. I think that, for Ireland are having to bowl 40 overs of seeing every game pretty much in just the 10 overs of spin of Cara Murray. Been a bit unlucky. Freya Sargent's been injured, and Amy Maguire got called for an illegal action on that India tour, their final series of the ICC Women's Championship. So it's at the same time, though, I've got to say, Osama, the pitches, it's not like they've turned square.
Yes.
They haven't been unfair. In fact, the curator who looks after both venues and many more in Lahore has done a brilliant job.
Yes.
They've been very fair pitches. There hasn't been a bias or a spin dominance, but it's that variety of attack that Bangladesh have. 2 leg spinners, for me, Rabia Khan, even more impressive than the more experienced Fatima Khatoon. Left arm spinner, and Ferdouse, the off spinner.
Yes, who has just made her debut.
Yeah, come in and done really well. 5-wicket haul.
5-wicket debut
Exactly.
against Thailand.
Been superb. So against Thailand, rightly. So to have 40 overs of spin, and actually they even bowled a few more with Mostery coming in and bowling some off breaks as well. It does feel a bit of an advantage, and you could see without the pace on the ball, even though that 8-wicket partnership was brilliant for Scotland, there just wasn't the power there to clear the ropes, because 64-metre boundaries the whole way around the oval, no shorter side at the Gaddafi. Look, Bangladesh for me have definitely been the pick of the teams in the tournament, but that's not to say, I think they still have to play the West Indies, don't they? Could lose that, and then it'll all come down to the final day, Pakistan against Bangladesh.
Yes, and going into the tournament, like Pakistan women's team had not played an ODI for a year. That's a separate debate and all that why they have not played it, but today is not for...
Never get into the politics of Ramaya, just the cricket. Love the cricket.
Today is not the day to discuss that, but despite not playing an ODI for a year, they have done terrifically well in this tournament, and there were certain question marks over them as well, that how they'll fare in this tournament. And I know that, yes, some areas might look weak on paper, but they have put on some splendid performances so far.
They really have, and look, they've shown a lot of class and experience in terms of getting over the line. And I actually thought, again, if you looked at that lineup coming in, no kind of Imtiaz, she's been up with us in the commentary box with her beautiful 10-month-old child, still having a bit of a break. Nida Dar obviously is the name that you see not in the team, and you go, how are they going to perform without her, because she's been so good for so long for them. But the 2 fantastic left arm spinners, and then I really admire Diana Baig. I think she's just been such a workhorse for Pakistan. Everything she does it with a great spirit. She's an absolute role model and an inspiration for the women's game here. Elia Riaz's form has been impressive too, and she's a young captain, the skipper, but she's really impressed me. And a fighter kind of out of an Imran Khan style mold, no doubt about that. An all-rounder of she's the kind of person you want in the trenches when the going gets tough. So the politics I won't comment on at all, but the performances certainly, they've kind of shown a grittiness and a knowledge of the home conditions that's been enough. But I still will say that 3 from 3 flatters them a touch. Yes. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised. I'm known for outrageous predictions, usually favouring the associates that I usually get a lot of stick for. I think Thailand will give them a real game, and if they play anything like to their ability, we could have the biggest upset of the tournament tomorrow.
Yeah, and a little about the West Indies, without Hayley Matthews, they wouldn't look a side that can beat other teams. You take away Hayley Matthews and they look a very weak side. What's happening with the West Indies women's team? Why is not they're not good young players coming up, or is it form issue that they're out of form come the tournament, or what's the issue, if you could point out?
I don't think they're disimproving. I think they might be stagnating a touch, with the exception of Hayley Matthews. Janelle Henry's had a few moments of real brilliance. Stefani Taylor's had some good moments too. They've got a great youngster coming through in Zayda James, and Elaine is a good little bowler, but I'm not sure how much depth there is in that team. Joel Manning, my co-commentator, would have been very aware of kind of the fragility of that side coming in. He was telling me about the really low scores that they've been seeing in the Caribbean women's domestic game, which certainly, raised a few red flags coming into this tournament. And then you take Deandra Dottin out of any side in the women's game. You've probably got three of possibly the GOATs there of the women's game in Matthews, Taylor and Dottin. But there's much more depth in women's cricket now. Historically, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they might have, single-handedly won you games. And Matthews does win you so many games. There was, I think Ian Bishop I saw tweeting the stat recently about she's won more player of the matches than any other player, but also, let's say West Indies have won 12 games recently. She's been player of the match in 10 or 11. It's crazy levels of over-reliance almost. And she even won the player of the match, didn't she, in a losing cause?
Against Scotland.
Against Scotland the opening day. And that was the correct decision. It's very rare you will see that, but 100 and a 4 for 100 unbeaten, absolutely deserve that. Look, she's a great leader. She's as good a cricketer as there is in the women's game, but she definitely needs some support. And then you could make the argument that West Indies sides, men's and women's, don't travel particularly well historically to the subcontinent. There has been some exceptions. The 2016 T20 World Cup men's and women's would be a very notable one. And I think that there's still a very formidable T20 side. I think they just are battling a bit in the ODI game. Again, no real difference to the men's side. Look at them. Didn't qualify for the 2023 World Cup for the first time in its history. And for someone who grew up as a Caribbean cricket fan, they're the only reason I'm involved in cricket myself. An admiration for anyone who beat England at anything. And that's all West Indies did when I was growing up. I was like, I love these guys. I want to be Viv Richards. I want to be Malcolm Marshall. I want to be Richie Richardson, Sir Richie Richardson, and Sir Isaac Vivian Alexander Richards. But look, I think to read anything more into it, there's no terminal decline there. It's just maybe in this particular format they're stagnating a bit. They're not having a great time of things, and the other sides are definitely narrowing that gap.
Yes, and a good West Indies, a strong West Indies is great for the health of the game. World cricket needs a strong West Indies. A little on the commentary side of your thing, you have commentated on so many games throughout the world. So do you feel, what's your thoughts on the cricket broadcast that with numbers and data and the game evolving itself as well in the modern era, do you feel like the commentary standards have stagnated and the commentary does not have the usual insights that a fan would want, or the way they could become more relatable for the fans to the modern standards of the game?
It's a good question. I'm not going to rag on any of my colleagues and say commentary has got worse. There is a lot more cricket broadcast now than there ever has been before. And I'll be honest, Osama, without that, I probably wouldn't have had a path to now ending up very accidentally doing what I think I was hopefully born to do. I always dreamed of playing cricket at the very top levels, going to a World Cup with Ireland and all that. I didn't quite achieve that on the playing field. I had lots of good days, whether it was Hampshire or with Irish club cricket or with Irish various representative sides, but I never quite got to the top level. I then kind of said, okay, well, I'll become a coach and try to be, the best I can be with that. And then I realized, you haven't played internationally, you're probably not going to get far with that. So I became an administrator of the game, first with Cricket Ireland and then with the ICC. Had 6 wonderful years between the two organisations, hopefully helped grow the game in both in Ireland and around the world, particularly with the digital side of things with ICC. I want more people to play our game. I want more people to love our game. I want more people to enjoy our game as fans and be inspired by the beauty of what our sport is. And I think that broadcast has evolved. I don't think it's got worse. I think there is a significant amount more of it, and we, as a collective group, probably have more demands placed on us in terms of whether it be the commercial side of things or whether it be the way in which we're asked to cover things by whether it be the boards or the leagues that are organising the events. It's different, it's evolving. I think that the real blessing for me in the format of the game I love maybe more than anything is the associate game. And the reality is in 2018, certainly 2014, 2015, you might have struggled to get a scorecard of some international cricket. Yes. Now, thanks to that IMG partnership with ICC, which initially ran from 2019 to 2023 in that first 4-year cycle, and now I believe has been extended through to 2027. I think it was 540 games in that first 4 years. It's going to be even more than that. I don't know the exact number, 700, 800, 900. And you can watch, cricket from all over the world. It's freely accessible on icc.tv. It's giving, a visibility and a chance for, players in Argentina or Papua New Guinea or Canada or Uganda or Nepal to be heroes and to inspire the next generation. And one of my favorite stories from all of the times I've broadcast, I've been doing this now, I'm a full-time commentator since post-COVID, but I've been doing commentary, one form or another, since 2017, since I left ICC that first summer in Dublin, where I got an opportunity. I actually got kind of forced into doing a few live streams. I didn't really want to. Nepal's second World Cup was last year.
Yes.
It took a 10-year gap and all sorts of difficulties off the field for them to now get back towards where they should be at. And an awful lot of the younger players in that squad, the captain Rohit Paudel, young Gulshan Jha, several others, were inspired by the team 10 years prior and are only cricketers because of that team 10 years prior. Yes. World Cups are so important, and associates getting to World Cups. They might not go and win that World Cup. It might be incredibly unlikely, although Afghanistan, a recent associate, if it wasn't maybe for a bad batting performance in the first innings of the semi-final, could have won a World Cup last year, which is incredible to even comprehend.
Yes.
And, that's a side that 15 years ago was playing in ICC World Cricket League Division 5. So even if the associates can't go and win those World Cups, them getting to the World Cup is their World Cup final.
Yes.
Uganda winning their first ever World Cup game against Papua New Guinea last year was their World Cup final, completing a 25-year dream for Frank Nsimbuga, their veteran player who debuted at a World Cup in his 40s. Yeah. I don't understand how you can't love those stories, and we probably segued off your broadcast question a bit, but it's all part of the promotion of the game, the growth of the game, and there's a visibility now that is really critical. Ally that to the entrance of cricket to the Olympics, and all of a sudden you have a much more global feel to a sport that maybe 10 years ago with a 10-team men's World Cup was feeling quite restrictive.
Yeah, and like a good segue would be to my next question, and that would be like, what do you feel like is the health of the game currently, the international game, both men's and women, and what would you suggest that can be done so that the health of the game can improve come the next 10 years?
I think it's a really good game. These are questions that we used to ask ourselves in the ICC a lot. And even though I was only part of the executive part of the staff there, working alongside the committees and the boards, you were always trying to help grow the game. I think our tagline at that point was, actually they've had so many taglines, but we went towards championing world cricket. It was to try grow world cricket towards the end of my time at ICC. I think we have a horrible, consistent approach of negativity towards our sport. I don't know, is it because we're too familiar with it or we love it so much and we get down, it's like we're all family and we get down in our family. I think the game is really healthy. I think there's challenges, of course there are. I don't know what other sport isn't envious of the fact that cricket has 3 formats that are equally very successful. Everyone has predicted when T20 came along, that'll be the death of Test cricket. Yes. They've been writing the obituary of Test cricket for as long as the game has ever been played, for 150 years. The health of, maybe not the women's Test game, which is still very, very small, but they're trying to grow. The health of the men's Test game, I think you could make an argument, has never been stronger.
Yes, it's been great with the World Test Championship. The interest has been skyrocketed, I think. Yeah.
There's one tweak I'd make, and I'm not getting into the politics of it, but I would love to see all 9 teams play 4 home series, 4 away series. If Pakistan versus India has to be in Dubai or Sharjah or Abu Dhabi, so be it.
Yes.
I would love to see that expansion to it. But the World Test Championship has been a phenomenal addition. 50-over cricket. Again, for some reason, we have a habit of maligning our sport. Why don't we love our sport and promote our sport and grow our sport? ODI cricket is better than it's ever been. The men's version with 3 power plays, with 2 new balls, I know they're thinking of tweaking it again. I really wish they wouldn't, because the game is wonderfully entertaining. Yes. And T20 has made ODI cricket even better, because you can get 100 off the last 10 overs. Yes. You can do what David Miller did. I know it was in a losing cause at the Gaddafi with that century in the last 10 and go ballistic. The bowlers have a good chance in the first 10 with 2 new balls. There's movement. Spinners have come into the game in a massive way. And then T20 is our great growth vehicle. I think to expand to a 4th or a 5th format, and again, I'm not maligning the 100 or T10, but we have 3 official formats for a reason. It's tough to balance those 3 at the international levels and find space for them all to have their own windows and their own, eyeballs and their own success. I wish the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup Super League would come back to add a context to all the 50-over cricket in between the World Cups and Champions Trophies. I think that was so unlucky because it came straight out of COVID.
Yes.
And there was a whole number of reasons as to why it didn't quite spark successfully. But I do believe that several of the boards want that to come back.
Yes.
They want context.
Yes.
And if they could brand it better and make it more like a FIFA World Cup qualifiers.
Yes, that will be very interesting. Asia qualifiers, Africa qualifiers, European qualifiers.
But the only difference in cricket would be a global qualifier.
Yes.
But brand it up,
Yes.
constantly explain the format, hammer it down people's throats, give context every game.
Yes.
Make stuff on the line in every game. And then the T20 format, look, 2 T20 World Cups every 4 years is bang on the money. They've nailed that. I don't know why they went away from it after the wonderful success in 2016. Because that was maybe, even to this date, maybe still the most successful of the events.
Yes.
We had to squeeze 2 in after COVID then, that was tricky. But then it really burst back to life, didn't it, with that 20-team event last year. I think the game is in rude health, but I don't think we can be complacent. And I think for it to continue to grow, we need to continue to expand it. And therefore, we need to continue to welcome more countries and people into it. Don't hide our game. Don't be ashamed of our game. It's the most beautiful sport there is.
And one final question that a lot of young commentators or broadcasters or people who might dream of becoming a commentator one day or a broadcaster one day, anything that you would like to say to the upcoming broadcasters or commentators, that what things that they can do to become a good broadcaster like you in the time to come?
It's very kind, firstly. I think the key part of our role is firstly to make it fun, but we're storytellers and we need to tell the stories of our game. And there are voices that do that better than anyone, and I get goosebumps and chills from listening to, and I will name a couple because the likes of Ian Bishop and Michael Atherton and Nasser Hussain are to a level, and I've had the good fortune to sit in the commentary box with Ian Bishop. I know Michael Atherton very well, and these guys are wonderful, really are. And I think if you'd asked me this question 5-6 years ago before I was a commentator, I'd say, look, I wouldn't even bother because it's a closed shop. It's former international players only. But there is now so much cricket broadcast, and it feels like even the smallest event wants to make sure it's at least got a live stream. There therefore is so much more opportunity to get a learning and a grounding. And for any young broadcaster, whether they're coming out of college or whether they're a journalist or a player who didn't quite make it, I would say don't expect to maybe make it all happen overnight. Don't expect that you're going to be going and commentating on Pakistan versus the West Indies the following month, and nor should you. You should learn your trade. But because of the scale of cricket that there is now, particularly with the ICC pathway events, and then within the Test nations, their domestic cricket that is almost entirely broadcast, men's, women's. A lot of countries are now broadcasting their youth cricket as well, and try to learn from every single person you sit with. And I've learned from whether it be people who have played at the very top levels of the men's and women's game, or whether it be people who are trained journalists and trained presenters and trained pundits in the game. I've learned from basically everyone I've ever sat next to. And I think, there is so much cricket broadcast now. There's an absolute opportunity that if you can add value to the pictures, tell some stories and make it fun, you're not going to go too far wrong.
Thank you very much, Andrew, for taking out the time. It was great talking to you. This was for Tapiyay's episode. आपको hopefully पसंद आई होगी. लाइक करें, शेयर करें, सब्सक्राइब करें, कमेंट करके ज़रूर बताएं आपको एपिसोड कैसी लगी. अगली एपिसोड तक के लिए इजाज़त. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.